internet is...
Imagine if your internet service provider decided that from now onwards you could access some sites at full speed and others much slower, and you had no say in which. Or what if they started randomly slowing programs like Skype, a software that lets you make phone calls over the internet? Sounds unfair, right? Well, all this is happening right now.
In 2009, Germany's largest mobile telephone company, T-Mobile, blocked Skype to its customers. In Canada, it's common for ISPs to slow down the connections of illegal downloaders.
These are just two examples in a war that's being waged over an idea known as net neutrality, and the outcome of this conflict could rewrite the web as we know it.
To explain, we have to go behind the shiny screen. This is essentially what the web looks like. A bunch of interconnected computers, that one's yours, and you can knock out any one of these computers and the network still remains. However, these pipes in between the computers, well, they actually belong to people. And of course, by people, I mean giant corporations, Telstra, Optus and so on, and they cost money to run.
It was originally understood that all of the content that passes through those tubes does so equally. So your Charlie Sheen memes, your Facebook page, cancer cures, animated tentacle porn, it's all treated equally because the neutral net does not judge.
When network engineers first thought about how to design a network, the one thought that was guiding their decision-making was, we don't know how people will want to use that network. And so they said, because we don't know, we need to build this network in a way that's as general as possible. That means if a new application comes on the market, the only thing that decides whether this application will be successful is what users think about this application. The best application wins.
Now, have a look at your browser. If you've got Google, Facebook, Amazon, eBay open, just stop and think. Once upon a time, they were tiny little startup companies with no powerful backing, and thanks to things like net neutrality and that level playing field, they're allowed to grow and develop. Now, what if an ISP could favour certain sites, deciding which was going to be easy to access and which was just going to be a pain in the ass to use?
And suddenly it's important whether the CEO of your application goes playing golf with the CEO of the telephone company.
The problem begins with the USA's web usage. See, Australia has a user pay system. The more you and I download, the higher our monthly bill. But since the early days of the net, the big three US internet providers, AT&T, Comcast and Verizon, have offered unlimited internet deals as standard. Unfortunately, they weren't quite prepared for the advent of peer-to-peer downloading, phone calls over the internet or streaming video on mobile phones. So now they say they're stuck offering big deals for little return. And guess what? They'd like a bit more control over how their pipes are used.
Although the internet was originally funded with public and government dollars and all that, it is not a public utility. Someone's got to pay for all of this stuff to move back and forth. You surrendered the net. We had a public net. We gave it away. Corporations have it.
Not only have ISPs like these guys begun experimenting with slowing down peer-to-peer sharing, reportedly they're also doing big backroom deals with the major content providers, asking them to pay for preferential access to their sites. Now, this may seem like an American issue, but the reality is the net is global. What happens there affects us. Plus, this tilting of the playing field has begun to spread to countries like the UK and Canada,
where an ISP named TELUS blocked all access to pro-union websites while those unions were striking against the company.
There are huge issues for democracy here. I mean, if the rich and powerful can start paying to have their information load faster, what happens to all the other voices?
The answer to the net neutrality debate seems to come down to your opinions on what role the government and corporations should play in our lives.
We tend to think that the internet is properly anti-sovereign and that no government should have the right to regulate it. If the government has a role in regulating the internet, then it's reasonable to ask which government and how far does that role extend.
But make no mistake, the web we know is but the foundations of what will come. The choices we make today about the way it's designed, the way we choose to run it, will have repercussions for decades, maybe even centuries.
Information has the right to a level playing field. And so do the people who express information. That said, we also need a network that works. So we have to find technical solutions to these hard problems with a goal that is liberty for everybody forever.